Alrighty, everyone. So the very first example that we're doing today, we want to solve for the variable of the following equation. I'm going to show you guys two ways. The very first way is following the steps for solving a rational equation. So looking at step one, we want to factor the denominators of all rational expressions. So that step already done. Right? And the second part of step one, we want to identify any values of the variable for which any expression is undefined. So for step one, let me get my pen. For step one, we want to see when this is undefined. When is a fraction undefined? It is undefined when the denominator is 0. So it's undefined when x plus 7 is equal to 0 and when x minus 2 is equal to 0. So we solve for that, where it's undefined when x is equal to negative 7 and 2. Right? So now step 2, we want to identify the LCD of all terms in the equation. So since we haven't seen each other in a while, or done any math in a while, I'm gonna remind you how to find the LCD. So what we're gonna do first is we're gonna look at all the factors. So the factors are x plus 7 and x minus 2. Keep in mind x, 7, and then x and negative 2, like each of them separately, are considered terms, right? So, and then x plus 7 together is a factor, and x minus 2 together is a factor as well. So now, how do we identify the LCD? The LCD is you take all the factors and you want to take the highest multiple of them. So for x plus, or the highest power. So for x plus 7, it's the only one there. So it's just x plus 7 to the first power. And then for x minus 2, it is also the only one. So it is also x minus 2 to the first power. So when you multiply all that, it's just x plus 7 and x minus 2. So I'm just going to erase these ones a little bit. Oops. Give me 1 second. Right. Let me fix this parenthesis. Oh, dang it. Right. So our LCD is x plus 7 and then x minus 2. So for step 3, we're going to multiply both sides of the equation by the LCD. So for the step 3, I'm going to rewrite our equation, which is negative 8 over x plus 7, and it's equal to 10 over x minus 2. What am I going to do? I'm going to take this whole entire thing, and I'm going to multiply it by x plus 7 and x minus 2. Okay. If you want, you can put x plus 7 and x minus 2 on both sides of the equation, but as long as you put a big parentheses around this whole thing and understand that you have to distribute all of that to every single term, this is fine. Right? So when I distribute that, what do I get? I would get negative 8 over x plus 7, and then this is going to be multiplied by x plus 7, x minus 2. This is equal. When I distribute this as well, I get 10 over x minus 2, put that in parentheses, multiply that by x plus 7, x minus 2. Right, this is technically step 3, and then this was step 4. Right, so now we just solve. So when I look at this, when I look at this first term, I see that I have x plus 7 on the denominator and x plus 7 in the numerator. So what can I do? These can, this is 1, so that reduces to 1. And the second part, x minus 2 and x minus 2, these reduce to 1 as well. So what am I left with? I am left with negative 8 times x minus 2. And this is equal to 10 times x minus 7. Oh, they thought that was let me go back. Oops, there you go. Right? And so now, how do we solve? We're just going to solve like normal. So I have to distribute this negative 8. So I get negative 8x, and then negative 8 times negative 2, that is positive 16. Over here, we're going to distribute as well. So 10 times x is 10x. 10 times negative 7 is negative 70. And then I'm running out of space, so I'm going to bring my work all the way back to the top. Right. So if I solve, I'm going to add 8x to both sides. When I add 8x to both sides, I am left with 16 is equal to 18x minus 70. I just realized I made a mistake. This is supposed to be x plus 7. Right, so it's supposed to be 10x plus 70, so let's change this to a plus. Right, and then now I want to get, I'm going to move the 70 over. When I do that, I will get negative 54, which is equal to 18x. Right, because 70 minus 16 is 54. If we subtract 70 from both sides, the negative is bigger, so it's negative 54. Right, so now what do? I'm going to divide both sides by 18, and negative 54 divided by 18, that is negative 3. Right, and negative 18x divided by 18 is 1. Right, so then I get, so if you want to rewrite this, we can say x is equal to negative 3. Right, before we're done, the very last step that we have to do is we have to check, step 5. We have to check our potential solution with the values that we found in step 1. Because if it's one of those values, then it cannot be a solution to our equation. So we're going to compare negative 3. Is this equal to negative 7? No. Right? Negative 3 is also not equal to 2. Because it does not equal to anything that's undefined, our solution for sure is x is equal to negative 3. So before I show you guys the second way, I know some of you wonder, or you guys think, wow, that's a lot of writing. So I'm going to show you what is the minimum I expect from you guys, right? So, for example, what do I expect? I still want you guys to tell me what values are undefined. So you'll say, oops, let me go back to my pen. So what do I say? I say undefined when, and then I can just look, and then we'll say x is equal to negative 7 and 2, right? You don't have to tell me x plus 7 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0, and then solve for it. If you can just notice it right off the bat, that's completely fine. Right? I still want you to tell me what the LCD is. Right? The LCD, you can tell me it's x plus 7, x minus 2. Right? You don't have to write down the factors. If you want to, that is perfectly fine, but this is the minimum I'm expecting from you guys. So from step 3, I want to multiply both sides by the LCD still. So if you'd like, I am completely fine is if you kind of do it in your head. So since you see above what the LCD is, if you mentally multiply that, you can immediately tell me that this is negative 8 and then x minus 2. And then this would be equal to 10 times x plus 7. Right? And then I still want you guys to solve this. So negative 8x plus 16, this is equal to 10x plus 70. Right? And then you can tell me this is, and then you can solve it as any way you want. So for example, the first time I added 8x to both sides. This time I'll do it a little differently. I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. So negative 8x minus 10x. Since they're both the same sign, we're just going to add it. So this is negative 18x. And I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So then 70 minus 16, that is a positive 54. Right? And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 18. I'll still get x is equal to negative 3. Right? this is also emphasizing that you can do this however way you want. You'll get the right answer as long as you do the arithmetic correctly, right? And then so now step 5 is kind of a more mental check. You can still tell me -3 does not equal to -7 or 2, right? That's fine. But if you want, you can just circle this or square it. Oh, dang it. You just, oh my goodness, sorry. Just square it, right? And then that's completely fine. So we do not need this. And this is the least I expect from you guys when you show your work for me. All right, guys. So now that I've showed you way 1, I'm not going to show you the second way, which is the way Alice does it. So I know, I'm not sure about you guys, but when I grew up, like taking these classes, they taught us the cross method. So what is the cross method? The cross method is when you multiply the -8 with the x minus 2, and then the x plus 7 with the 10. I want to emphasize to you guys the only time you can do the cross method is if there is an equal sign in the middle. If there is no equal sign, then you cannot do this method. Right? So let me erase that. So what do? I'm going to do this -8 times x minus 2. So I get -8 x minus 2. Right? And then I'm going to do the x plus 7 times 10. So I'm just going to write this as 10, and then x plus 7. Right? And we're still going to solve for this like normal. So -8, we're going to distribute that. So -8 times x is -8x. -8 times -2, that is a positive 16. And then over here, we have to distribute the 10 to everything as well. So 10 times x is 10x. And then 10 times 7 is 70. Right? As you guys can see from me doing this twice already, this is the exact same as we usually get, or as we've gotten before. So I'm just going to immediately tell you guys that this is x is equal to -3. Right? So, and then still undefined for way 2, I forgot to write, but you still need to tell me when this is undefined. Right? So this is undefined when x is equal to -7 and 2. Right? And because -3 is neither of these values, this is the solution to our equation. So the one thing with way 2 is that you just don't have to find the LCD. You guys can do whichever way you like best. As long as you understand that the only time you can do this cross method is if there's an equal sign between it. Okay, that's the most important thing.